Julian Lewis' father breaks silence on QB's strong message to Coach Prime after dynamic with Kydon Salter confirmed. The five-star recruit, Julian Lewis, originally from Carrollton, Georgia, reclassified from the 2026 class to 2025, effectively skipping his senior year of high school football to enroll early and jumpstart his college career. Lewis initially committed to USC but flipped his commitment to Colorado, drawn by the opportunity to work with head coach Deion Sanders and offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur. His signing was a huge coup for Colorado, particularly following Shedeur Sanders' exit to the NFL, creating a quarterback hole that Lewis is keen to fill. Lewis has impressed coaches and spectators with his arm talent and accuracy, even with competition from Liberty transfer Kydon Salter during spring drills. Off the field, Lewis has spoken out about the distinction between his football life and nil arrangements. He recognizes the benefits of nil opportunities, but states firmly that football is his first priority. He thanks his family, including his dad, and his support structure for guiding him through these opportunities responsibly. Carlton Lewis, Julian Lewis's father, has played a huge part in his life. He helped walk him through the nil process and worked to help create opportunities that matched Julian's values and goals. The proud father that he is, Carlton Lewis never misses a moment to hype up his kid. Recently, a user posted a video on X showing the evolution of Lewis from his high school training ground to Boulder. Carlton Lewis reposted the video with a simple yet thoughtful caption, "Same process, different place. Earn everything." Lewis pointed out how his son is taking every challenge in stride, keeping his eyes open to learn and get better each day. He reposted a video of Julian's practice throws with the caption that so aptly encapsulates the mentality. Day 3 with 6 months to learn and prepare. #Trust God. #Keep working. This reveals the grind Julian is exerting himself into, recognizing that natural ability won't get him the starter role on its own. Lewis has been a consistent voice in Julian's corner, reminding him that growth is a process. He's proud of the way Julian is navigating the change to college life and the heightened expectations. The QB room at Colorado is loaded, with battle-hardened competitors such as Kydon Salter and Ryan Staub also in the mix for the starting job. So Julian has to bring his A-game every single day. Aside from football, Lewis is also instrumental in helping Julian navigate the business aspect of college sports. Julian is playing both the entrepreneur and quarterback roles as he fields nil deals and creates a brand alongside maintaining focus on football. TC's counsel keeps Julian leveled, keeping ambition in check with responsibility. The unexpected bond between Julian Lewis and Kydon Salter. Amid Julian Lewis's development as a freshman QB in Colorado, there's an equally fascinating chapter on how he gets along with Kydon Salter, the veteran Liberty transfer who's also fighting for the starting quarterback position. It's so brotherly, and that attitude is a breath of fresh air in the high-pressure game of college football. Coach Prime's close friend, Uncle Neely, dropped the bombshell about this special relationship, highlighting how both quarterbacks are more than teammates, but truly cool with one another. It's a team-oriented mindset that has resonated with Deion Sanders' way of thinking since he began running the program. The unexpected bond between Julian Lewis and Kydon Salter. Amid Julian Lewis's development as a freshman QB in Colorado, there's an equally fascinating chapter on how he gets along with Kydon Salter, the veteran Liberty transfer who's also fighting for the starting quarterback position. It's so brotherly, and that attitude is a breath of fresh air in the high-pressure game of college football. Coach Prime's close friend, Uncle Neely, dropped the bombshell about this special relationship, highlighting how both quarterbacks are more than teammates, but truly cool with one another. It's a team-oriented mindset that has resonated with Deion Sanders' way of thinking since he began running the program. Julian's pocket movement and precision passing are contrasted with Salter's running for explosion and playmaking capability. But the myth that one is a pure passer and the other a pure runner is debunked by Uncle Neely, who tells us both can run and throw and makes Colorado's offense diversified and unpredictable. It's a partnership that could just make the entire team better. Warren Sapp confesses strong Deion Sanders promise during Colorado's darkest days. Warren Sapp, the legendary NFL defensive tackle and Pro Football Hall of Famer, is back in the spotlight. But this time, he's not on the field or in the broadcast booth. Instead, he's making waves as a coach. The twist? He teamed up with his old buddy and fellow Hall of Famer, Deion Sanders, at the University of Colorado. It all kicked off when Sanders asked Sapp to give a pep talk to the Colorado Buffaloes before the 2023 season. After just one day with the team, Sapp realized he really enjoyed coaching and had caught the coaching bug. Merrill Kelly reviews his stellar outing against Mariners. The University of Colorado was a bit hesitant to bring Warren Sapp on board because of his controversial past and some previous staff scandals. But Deion Sanders wasn't having any of that. He really pushed for Sapp, believing that his friend's experience, work ethic, and knack for connecting with young players would be a huge asset. Now, as a senior quality control analyst and recently promoted pass rush coordinator, Sapp is really making a difference. His coaching returns could be seen in how Colorado's defense improved in 2024, especially when it comes to their pass rush. In an interview on the Kenny and JT show on the 9th of June, the hosts asked Warren Sapp what it is like to work with Deion Sanders. Sapp did not hold back. His ability to see what he sees, and from year one at Colorado to year two, because I was there in the beginning with him just a little bit from 30,000 foot looking at it, working on my degree to get ready to join him. Sapp made himself out to be a high-ranking soldier in Sanders' army, not the general in command, but someone respected and with experience who can still take orders and learn from the best. Warren Sapp begins talking about his relationship with Sanders, comparing it to their time together on NFL Network, when they would go back and forth at each other with lighthearted trash talk and extensive football facts. When speaking of Coach Prime, he confesses, he came back to me that second year, and we went to talking like through certain situations in football, and he looked at me and said, "I'm not going to go against my gut. Last year I went against my gut, and it cost me." Sapp had a bird's-eye view of Sanders' first year at Colorado. The Buffaloes had a 1-11 year before his arrival, and Sanders arrived as a whirlwind, turning the roster almost completely, adding more than 80 transfers, and keeping only a few starters. The staff began on fire, surprising everyone by defeating TCU and Nebraska in the early going, but reality did catch up with them later in the season. The offensive line played lackluster, players began to get hurt, and Colorado finished 4-8, which was still an improvement over the previous year. However, in year two, the Buffs saw results on the field. The team finished 9-4 in the regular season and was a win away from making it to the Big 12 championship game. Their dual threat, Travis Hunter, won the coveted Heisman Trophy, and even Coach Prime's son, Shedeur Sanders, received the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award. What made the difference? Well, for starters, Coach Prime. I love him. I love how every morning he wakes up with that same passion, that same fire that gleams in his eye, Sapp said. Whether it's a pregame pep talk or a postgame locker room situation, Deion Sanders always pushing, always urging, always believing. Even through hard losses or disappointments, he's the first to lift everyone and tell them why they are here. In that sense, Sapp believes in Deion Sanders' vision of recruiting boys and turning them into gentlemen. He'll do it himself, a message of trust by Warren Sapp. So, when Warren Sapp tells us he loves every morning that Deion Sanders gets up with the same fire and enthusiasm, it's not specifically about the coach. It's about the entire Sanders family atmosphere and the way that energy filters down to the individuals around them. Sapp, who's been in the trenches with Shedeur at Colorado, recently sent a forward message about the young quarterback after the Cleveland Browns dropped their depth chart, and it's generating buzz. Sapp's message: "I'm not able to plead to do his case for him. He'll do it himself." It may seem a little cryptic at first glance, possibly even remote, but if you're familiar with Sapp, you know that it's a vote of confidence. Shedeur's path from Colorado to the NFL has not been smooth sailing. He was once discussed as a possible number 1 overall selection, but after a year in which the media spectacle and some difficult times got the best of him, his draft value took a hit. He wound up getting selected in the 5th round by the Browns, a far cry from what he and many expected, but Shedeur is not your typical rookie. He's got that Sanders flame. Now, Shedeur is in Cleveland, falling in among seasoned quarterbacks such as Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, and even a rookie, Dylan Gabriel, whom the team selected over him. Shedeur is 4th on the depth chart, and for most 5th-round draft picks, that may be a quiet season on the bench.